Well, Vig, we didn't think there'd be NBA this season, but it's back. It's starting up in just a couple of weeks.
I did. You predicted that it would start up. You did predict
Well, no,
that.
I said January.
Right.
January, yeah.
Right. And I predicted no season.
Your season.
So you nailed it.
I nailed it, but I missed by about a week.
Nailed it.
If you're looking at prices right, I went over. So therefore, I get nothing, regardless of
Plinko.
how close I was.
Big fans of Plinko.
Plinko would be good, but if it was a showcase showdown, I would have went over and get nothing.
But we digress.
But we digress, and where there will be an NBA starting December 25th. And if you're following Fitzvic, we've already talked about that.
Yes.
But let's talk a little bit about the crazy movements.
The trade that wasn't.
The trade that wasn't, and a lot of the trades that aren't going to be.
Right.
Due to our guy, Commissioner David Stern.
Definitely your guy, David Stern.
So I'm going to give the outline, and then I'm going to let you get into the details.
Yeah.
Okay, basically it was all about Chris Paul, and who's on the Hornets.
Wants out of New Orleans.
Wants out of the New Orleans Hornets.
Doesn't see a championship in their future.
Then there is no championship in their future. They are, as pointed up here, NBA owned, which becomes a big point later on. They were trying to get him to the Lakers, rich get richer kind of scenario.
Yep.
Some of the other big players like Lamar Odom, Pau Gasol were going to move, and basically what was going to happen was Chris Paul was going to end up, CP3 was going to end up with the Lakers, and everybody else was going to get a little worse. So that trade didn't happen.
Yep. Got nixed by the NBA owned New Orleans Hornets because David Stern, as commissioner of the NBA uniquely owns the New Orleans Hornets.
Right.
Kiboshed the deal.
Right, and you can kind of take a step back and even say, okay, well, the reason the Hornets are owned by the NBA is because of all the financial problems the NBA had, which led to this, strike that we had, or sorry, lockout that we had over the summer. So everything kind of comes together here.
Team almost got dissolved.
Mm-hmm.
Wake of Hurricane Katrina, NBA stepped in because they thought that the region needed an NBA presence.
Right, and here they are. But NBA owned, David Stern kind of looks at the trade after it's going to get done and says, okay, well, we have a team, the New Orleans Hornets, that has one good player, and we're going to trade that one good player. No, sir, kiboshes the trade. And now everybody in the league's like saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. Where did this kind of power come from that the commissioner could step in and shut down trades, just because it kind of helps out some of the popular teams like the Lakers? What do you think is going to happen with this structure? Is a trade like this going to work out? Tell me what you think.
So to me, this was the best. This was the best trade because you got Pau Gasol, Lamar Odom, two All-Stars, one Pau Gasol being an elite level player, for one elite level player. Okay, for Chris Paul. Now understanding that. The Lakers felt like in the playoffs last season they got beat because they didn't have the quickness, and therefore that's where Chris Paul comes in. And I actually looked at this trade, Pau Gasol and Lamar Odom for Chris Paul, as being almost, I'm going to just say, weighting towards the Lakers' detriment, meaning they were giving up more than what was worth for Chris Paul.
Right.
So when the NBA put the kibosh on that, probably because of Chris Paul's name,
yes,
then when I saw the second deal, which was a Clippers deal that was based around Eric Gordon and a host of young players and picks going for Chris Paul, I said that deal's worse than the Lakers deal.
Yeah, this deal is worse because Eric Gordon being the centerpiece of your trade, let's be honest, he's not that great. And a team like the Clippers could use Paul, but then how close are the Clippers to a championship? And that's why Paul wants out of New Orleans as well.
The big key there, though, is that Paul. Combined with Blake Griffin from the Clippers, that can look like a dynamic duo that you can build around.
It is. There's a bunch of young guys, which is nice.
And Blake Griffin is the kind of player that if he sustains his current level of play, he's a Hall of Famer.
Right.
So, to me, when they put the kibosh on this deal, they had to put the kibosh on that deal because this deal, the Lakers deal, was actually better than the ones that the Clippers were offering. The problem is, now you've put the kibosh on two deals.
Right.
What's going to get it done?
Exactly. Can it get done?
Right, and how many teams have the chips to be able to get Chris Paul? That eliminates the Knicks then, because they're not giving up one of their big two. Like you can get rid of Stoudemire or Melo or now Tyson Chandler, big three. So how many teams in the NBA have the chips to satisfy the NBA-owned Hornets
Yeah.
when they've already turned down 2 deals, which potentially were worth more than what Chris Paul was worth at one
Yeah, I
point.
mean, I don't see what can happen here. I mean, it's a tough spot for Chris Paul. He obviously wants to be on a winning team, win a championship. He's a great young player, and he's never had a taste of that, really deep into the playoffs run. You don't know what David Stern's going to take for it, or is he just going to get to a point where there's enough backlash to where he says, fine, forget it,
Right.
let whatever happen
Right,
happen.
and he takes a weaker deal than what was offered originally.
Yeah, which is what's going to happen, exactly. Because now, no Odom, let's talk about this a little bit further.
Yep.
Odom is gone. He went
Odom's
to
gone.
Dallas.
He went to Dallas just for a draft pick
Right.
because Odom, when he finds out he is going to get traded to New Orleans, but then that gets kiboshed, he walks into the Lakers practice that day and says, I want to get traded.
Yeah, exactly.
Get me out of here.
And you know what? Who can blame him? Who can blame him? You're basically told, hey, we don't need you. We're willing to give you up and another one of our stars for another player. Hey, why not? He goes to the World Champions. Not bad for Odom. But you know what? It basically takes away the bargaining chips for Paul to have any chance to go into the Lakers.
Yeah, and what it does is it also probably previews an in-season trade.
Yes.
So that the season starts on Christmas. Somewhere along the line, Paul gets traded, but again, might not be a deal that's even as good as he originally offered.
Probably won't be.